So we're on Siman Yud Aleph. So we started reading the Shulchan Aruch, HaChutin, that the Chutin, the strings, right? Strings. Tzarech sheyiyu tevuyim lishman. The strings have to be tavoy. They have to be spun lishman, which means they have to be for the right reason. It has to be for the mitzvah of tzitzis, which means you cannot buy the strings in a yarn store. That's what we spoke about.
No fabric land.
Right. So
Arts of fabric.
Therefore you have to actually take it, and from the wool you have to spin it in your hands with the kavana that you're making to make strings for tzitzis. And we learn that out because there's tas halacha. You have to make it for yourself. You have to make it for you, for your chayv. Okay. Then we spoke about how do you do lushman, and this is relevant to matzah. So the Shulchan Aruch writes, let's read the inside. Achut and tzarech sheyiyu tevuyim lishman. They have to be spun lishman.
Which sif is it?
This is Aleph. Siman Yud Aleph, Sif Aleph. Right? You got the place there?
Yeah.
In the Shulchan Aruch?
What?
Yeah,
It's a big one, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
gosh, gigantic.
then the Ramah actually put in one little point. He said, what about combing out the wool? So we went into that. That's called niputz, to comb it out. Does that combing to get out the junk of the wool, does that also have to be done lishman? So he brought down a view that said yes, and then he said a different view that you don't have to. Then he said further.
You comb the sheep to get the wool.
Well, after you take off the wool, you have to comb out all the any impurities that are in there.
Like the two combs.
No, just or with one comb, just comb it out to get out. It will strain out any impurities in the wool. But that's part of making the wool. That makes it grouped together to be like a batch of wool. So that's part of making the wool. So therefore, that also is an argument that it has to be lishman.
Is it lishma or lishman?
Same thing.
Okay.
Same thing. Maybe it's plural. Maybe plural is lishman, but lishma is singular. Okay. Now the Shulchan Aruch continues on the bottom line. Sheyoymar. How do you do this? That you have to say with your mouth, betchilas hativoy. In the big, right? You see where that is?
Yeah.
Where you up to? Read me the Shulchan Aruch, Mike. Where you up to?
Shehu is the next word, right?
Yeah.
Shehu yoser?
Go back. Read it. Read the Shulchan Aruch.
The beginning?
Yeah. Skip after the Rabbi.
Afilu b'chut echad.
No, you're too far.
You're too far. You're all a
Read the beginning. Read.
Im nifsaku?
No.
I'm looking at the wrong one, that's fine. Okay, on your base.
Got it, David?
No.
Hachutin
Yes,
tzarech
come over
Yeah,
here.
that's
Or you
the
might you show them which.
There's like a hidden one. It's below. That's why I missed it too at the beginning. There's
This
like a
says-
break.
Well, it's on the next.
No, I was just
No,
looking
it's like
at the wrong
lower
one.
down. Like it looks like it's.
Oh, I got
It
it.
doesn't. It looks like it's not part of the Shulchan Aruch.
Okay.
I just didn't look properly.
No
I don't have
problem.
an excuse that way.
Okay. So now look after the Ramah, right? 2 lines into it. Sheyoyma. The way you make something lishma is you say betchilas hativoy in the beginning of the tviya. What's tviya?
Spinning.
The spinning. As you're spinning the thread, you're just taking the wool and you're going like this and you're spinning it into a thread. You have to say shehu oiseh kain l'shem tzitzis. You say I'm making this for tzitzis.
It's like when you're making the matzah.
Because it's the exact same thing. You're making.
That's after the brushing, right?
Yes, right.
Well, no,
So,
but according to the opinion, it says that the brushing. Oh, but this is just.
according to
the
the opinion, it says that you need the brushing to be lishman. Then when you brush it, you have to say I'm brushing it lishman. And according to everyone, the spinning has to be done lishman. So as you take the wool in your hands, you have to say I'm doing it lishman. L'shem mitzvah tzitzis. The actual meaning of lishman is for its name. And the meaning of that lishman means for its name, for its sake, to be for the purpose of tzitzis. It's not like a heebie-jeebie thing, lishman. It's really for its sake, for the purpose why I want it to be for tzitzis. So that's the first idea. So he says you have to say it. So it's an interesting thing. That means if you just think it, what would come out if you just think about it? You're spinning it and thinking about it, it seems that it wouldn't be enough.
And can anyone do that? Like anyone who's making tzitzis, or is someone not obligated in tzitzis can't do it?
So we're going to speak about that right after this. Excellent. That's going to be right. First, I want to speak about how to do lishman, and then the next part of Sif Aleph is going to be about who could do it. So the Shulchan Aruch seems to say you have to say it. So the question is, let's say you just think about it. Let's say you just think, right? In the matzah bakery, they're all busy saying it. At least the people, the onlookers, are saying l'shem matzah's mitzvah. But let's say you're doing it, but you don't say it.
Isn't it the same with prayer?
What?
Isn't it the same with prayer? Like you can't just think it.
Yeah, but a prayer is because you have to say it, because the mitzvah is you have to say Kriya Shema. But this is not a prayer. This is a.
It's a kavanah. When you have kavanah, you don't always have to say things.
Yeah, but it's different than a kavanah.
No, I'm not giving your hands. I'm saying that it's different than prayer.
Yeah. Right. That's what I'm pointing at.
That's the question. Because kavanah, usually you don't always have to say something.
Right. It's different than a prayer. A prayer, you got to say it. If you don't say it with your mouth, so on the surface it doesn't work.
It's probably an argument.
It's a big argument if someone's sick and they can't talk or whatever. Then you have to go see your rabbi, to see your local rabbi.
To see you.
Or you have to go.
What do you have to say exactly? Like, please spin the tzitzit? Like,
Yes, you could say any of these words. You could say it, make it l'shem tzitzis or l'shem mitzvah tzitzis.
Okay.
But the idea, as long as it's for that sake.
Okay. Thank you.
So the Mishna Berura goes to ask, do you have to actually say it, or could you just think about it? Because the main thing I would have thought is kavanah, is to think about it.
You can not say it.
Well, that's the question. Is it enough? I just want to tell you the difference between kavanah and lishma, right? Is that what's the difference between kavanah? Right, Russell, you with me? It's a very important foundation. This is lishman, and we know kavanah. So what's the difference between lishma and kavanah? So the difference is lishman is when you're actually making an item. Right? Kavanah is when you have the item, but you have to add to it a special intention. Right? For example, I'll give you the example that will put it all into place. Let's say when you daven, or when you're doing a mitzvah. You have a mitzvah in front of you, lulav. You just have to have in mind, I'm doing a mitzvah. I'm not just shaking it, I'm not playing spearing or whatever, or matzah. You have to eat the matzah, not just because you're hungry, right? You shouldn't just think, I'm hungry. You should think that you're doing a mitzvah. And at night of Pesach, you should think of doing a mitzvah. That's called kavanah. Kavanah when you're doing a mitzvah. You're reading Kriya Shema, right? You're in the middle of you're learning brachos, and you get up to the part about Kriya Shema. You should have in mind, I'm doing the mitzvah Kriya Shema. That's called kavanah, because you have a mitzvah, you have an object of a mitzvah. You have to add to that the kavanah, the intention that I'm doing it for the right reason. Lishma is when you're actually taking a object which is mundane and you're forming it to be a holy object. For example, tzitzis. You have strings, but you want them not to be just strings. When these go onto your garment, these turn into tzitzis. It's a whole different object. It's not just strings on a garment. There's kedusha in it, right? There's holiness.
So like kiddush as well, like wine becoming kiddush, is that the same?
No, I never heard that idea. When it goes into the becher, it does become.
Well, when you say the bracha, you're saying like this is becoming kiddush now, as opposed to regular wine that I would.
It is true. You are sanctifying the wine. You are sanctifying the wine, but
you're not changing the wine.
Right, you're not making it into a different object, into a different hefza. Right. I'll give you another example, right? Next example is
tefillin.
Sukkot.
Tefillin.
Sukkah, is that?
Tefillin is a good one, or matzah. Matzah is also a great mitzvah.
I think sukkah, you have to say anything.
You don't.
You just have to
do
it.
So sukkah is not a classic example of lishman.
But it should be.
Why?
Because you're just taking ordinary wooden panels.
It doesn't say lishma. There, who says you have to actually make it for the right intention? You have to actually make it for sukkahs. It has to be made for sukkahs. But they don't give it the expression lishman. But it does. You're right. It's an interesting question. We have to think about that. But let me first give the classical examples. Classical examples would be a carbon, right? You want to make a sacrifice. So there, when you say it, right, I'm making this for carbon ola. So you're actually changing it. It should be holy, and now it takes on a carbon.
How's that different than the wine?
No, but the wine is just wine. It happens to be used for a mitzvah. No,
So
it's
but
not.
a korban is
it's
just
not
a goat. But
No, the carbon becomes holy, and as you're bringing it, right, you made it into a holy object.
Right, it becomes hekdesh.
It's hekdesh.
Right,
There's
I know.
there's differences that come out, right? Now you can't use it for your own. It's also no, you can't just use it
you
for.
can't cut a woman with it.
You
You can sell it, and then with the profits you can cut a woman with.
You can't use it to go horseback riding or right. There's a lot of dinim that come out because you made it lishma, right? Matzah. It's matzah when if you just make matzah without thinking about it, but it's kosher. Let's say it's not no chametz.
You said crackers.
But it's crackers. Lishma changes the object from being a cracker to a matzah.
So you have to bury it if you don't finish it or something? Do you have to treat it differently than
When?
normal bread?
No.
like
No,
kodesh.
it doesn't mean that it has holiness
It
in
means
that sense.
matzah.
But it means it's matzah. It's the object of the mitzvah.
So then the Kiddush wine should be similar, like he's saying.
No, but Kiddush wine, you're not changing the object.
You're not changing the hekdesh either. You're
No,
just
You're actually
designating
gonna
it.
crack.
I don't mean changing the object physically, but I mean it becomes
You're making.
it becomes a different object in spiritually.
But why
It becomes
shouldn't-
qualified as a matzah. It's not a cracker anymore. It's a matzah.
But this is a kos shel Kiddush now.
It's true,
And
but
the wine is special. You're supposed to drink that wine.
It's true because you made a bracha on it. It got holy. You did a mitzvah with it, right? Anything you do a mitzvah with, we say to do another
But the
mitzvah.
mitzvah is the wine.
The
Because
mitzvah is
how
not
you
the-
it's
the
saying the
mitzvah-
bracha on the wine.
Right.
But you need the wine. The wine.
That's true. It's a side.
What is that
It,
paradox?
the wine is what we call a condition for the mitzvah. That the
What kind of
Rabbanan
word
said
for it? What was the word in Hebrew?
for
Condition.
tonight.
Tanai?
It's a tanai.
Is that-
I didn't want to use a Hebrew word, but tanai is much easier. Condition. Hold your question, Wesley. Just to get,
No. My question is what Mike's bringing up. It's the same. It seems like it's the same.
yeah. So
Carbon and
You guys are on my side.
Yeah, it was Max's observation.
yeah.
I have a
I'm just bringing it
bar.
home.
I have a bear on my side.
I gotta have a word with Bob.
The difference is it just a tanai, a side stipulation and condition that the mitzvah has to be done, with wine. But it's not that you need a different object. It doesn't matter who made the wine or what they thought when they were making the wine. The wine and wine. You go pick up wine as long
Well,
as
same
it's.
with it doesn't matter what the guy thought when he was raising the goat. You can.
No, I'm
make
not
it-
talking about
you
raising the
can
goat.
make that
You're right. I'm not talking. Not they're making the goat, but the saying it and bringing it as a carbon. You have to say I'm bringing this, or think that I'm bringing it as a carbon ola. If not, it's a just chulin. It will be mundane, and you can't bring that to the Beis Hamikdash. You're changing the item spiritually to be a different object. It's not just an animal. Now it's an animal which is it's kadosh in not just holy, but it's a carbon. It changes the item in its Hebrew spiritual status.
So what makes tzitzis?
The matzah is the best idea. The matzah is best.
No,
the best.
those are the
best
easy
example.
cases. We're trying to.
Go tzitzis also.
understand.
So this is the same
Can you
thing.
use those tzitzis strings for anything else?
You could use it for other things, but on the other side, you can't go into your store over
Right,
there
store and take wool.
and just take a wool strings that look exactly like this and use them
So how do-
because they're strings.
I understand
They're not
that.
tzitzis.
But how did the Rabbanan how do they decide?
Who's
when
not the
it's
Rabbanan? The Torah. One second. The Mishnah Berura
So
said.
it's taseh.
Ta'aseh loch,
okay.
loch. So we learn out loch for your chovach, for your mitzvah, for your chiyuv, your obligation. It has to be made for your obligation.
Whereas wine.
And if it's not made for your obligation, then it's like you don't have strings. It's like you have plastic.
So it seems like
it's like you took a metal. I could use metal. Let's say it's like you took something. Just like there's a stipulation that you need to have strings. You can't have metal. So it also has to be taseloch. It has to be made for this purpose. And if it's not, it's possible. It's like you don't have strings.
So we can't learn out lishman by the nature of the mitzvah. We can only learn out lishman because there's a source that says it has to be lishman.
The source, right? And
No, because before
right.
the reason we brought in Kiddush,
Yeah.
it seemed like
It works the other way. Yeah, it works
the other way.
It works
It's
because
lishman because
there's-
it says it's lishman. That's why.
Because there's a mitzvah to make lishman
All right.
by here and by matzah. It says ushmartem es
There's a
matzah.
source whenever it's lishman.
And there's a source to say ushmartem. Ushmartem means
should guard it.
you
Watch
should
it.
guard it. So we learn out that the matzah has to be guarded for matzah. You have to watch it to make sure that no chametz gets in, and that becomes matzah.
No, but that's to make sure that it's not bread. That's not to make sure it's not a cracker.
No, but the idea of the matzah on the night of the Seder has to be shmura matzah. Shmura matzah. Which means you can have, what? What do you say?
Expensive matzah.
Translation is.
But the reason is because you need to make sure that you're watching it from the time as an argument.
The union.
Right.
Remember,
15 minutes, right?
when do you have to start watching it? When does it start? So some say you have to start from when you cut it off. When you cut it. Some say not when you cut, from when you start to knead it. It's machlokes, the rush and the
I did
riff.
it today and then I bought it, don't eat it anymore.
What? The rush and the riff. But the pasuk says ushmartem es hamatzos. So you have to watch it. So the Gemara learns out shmartem. You have to watch it for matzah to make sure that no chametz gets in, and that is called the shema. To watch it for the mitzvah to make sure no chametz gets in. Even though it's just watching it, no chametz you get in. That shapes it to become a matzah. If not, it's not called shmura matzah. It's not shmura matzah, and then you can't get your mitzvah on Seder at the Seder night of eating a kazayas of matzah. If it's just a cracker, you're not yotzer. It turns it into shmura matzah. You call it like that. You could call it, or you could call it that it's matzah, which was shamor, that you did the mitzvah. So these are the few different examples. But let's say Kriya Shema, where you just have to have in mind, I'm doing a mitzvah, right? Let's say you're just reading the Torah, and you get up to Parshas Ekev, and just read Kriya Shema, right? Right. That's let's say someone has Bar Mitzvah Parsha, right? And he's reading Parshas Ekev, and in there is Shema. Does he get his mitzvah? Let's say he's reading Shema. He doesn't get the mitzvah because mitzvah is strichus kavana. You have to have kavana. So you might have the actual words, but unless you have to have the condition that you have in mind. I want to do that mitzvah. That will join the words to make it into a mitzvah. That's just a tanai. That's just kavana. That's kavana. That's not shaping. That's not turning the words into Kriya Shema. It always was the same words. It always was a lulav. The lulav, right? The lulav's no din to make it l'shma. It's a lulav. You just have to have the condition that I want to do the mitzvah. That's the difference between l'shma and kavana. So now, how do you make l'shma? Now that we know what l'shma is, now how do you do it? So the Shulchan Aruch said you have to say it with your mouth. So the Mishnah Berura, he wants to know, does that make you, if you don't do that, are you not yotzei? So let's see Mishnah Berura Dalid, Sheyoymar. You see on the Dalid there? Befeirush, yes. On the first side of the page. Here.
First side of the page.
Side A. Or, yeah.
Oh, right here. Yeah.
Sheyoymar befeirush. You should say it explicitly and say those words that I'm doing it l'shma. I'm doing it for the purpose of tzitzis. Loi b'machshava be'alma. Not
in your thoughts.
B'machshava, with the thought. Be'alma.
In the world. I don't know. We did this last week.
Machshava alma, just not just with a fleeting thought. Machshava ba'alma. No, it has to be actually spoken out. Va'afilu b'di'evid. So here the Mishnah Berura writes, even b'di'evid, because he's learning up from the words of the Shulchan Aruch. That's the requirement. The Shulchan Aruch just said about speaking, not thinking. Va'afilu b'di'evid. He says it requires in-depth analysis to know if it will work if you just think about it. He says, Ayin Siman Lamed Beis, Sif Ches. You should look up different places when you're making tefillin. Their tefillin also you have to have in mind when you're working out the different hides, or when you're working out a hide for a Sefer Torah. So you also have to say those words. I'm making the hide for a Torah. Or when you write the Torah, you also have to have in mind, I'm writing a Sefer Torah, l'shma, or a get, right? You probably came across that, the Kosav law. We learn out he has to write it for her, it has to be written l'shma. If he doesn't have in mind l'shma, even if they happen to get the right name, right? Let's say you got everyone's name, and when Alexander died, they named their kids Alexander that year, right? So if let's say someone guesses Alexander ben Moshe, and wrote out, this Sofer was writing them by the thousands. It's not a good get because it has to be written for that man and for that lady, l'shma. So these are a few places where you need l'shma. These are actually just about all the places. So on that, he wants to know what happens if you don't. So you have to look up these different places and see different implications, how it's implied. If you're yotzei with just the thought.
You need l'shma or kavana?
Yes.
You need to
Lishma.
say it.
Lishma. Right, you need that Lishma Kosav Allah, he has to write it for her, has to be written specifically for that man and that lady.
Same with the ksuba, right?
No.
No.
Ksuba should be filled out properly and everything, but it doesn't need Lishma, and it probably
Gemara
doesn't even
tries
need.
to connect them, though.
Yeah.
It fails.
How much lishma do you need?
What do you
You
mean?
can never have too much lishma.
Well, if your mind gets wanders for a fleeting moment.
Okay. Wesley, now you're ready for the next Mishna Berura. How much do you have to think about it a whole time, which has implications for matzah, right? How much do you have to think whole time when you're kneading it, when you're, poking holes in the matzah?
How's that possible?
Huh? Well, that's why, but they're there.
Right, it's so fair. When they write a Torah, they have kavanah the whole time.
Yeah. Well, so this is going to be the question. Is there any way that you could get around it without saying it, right? But you have to say it every minute. So look at the Mishnah Berura. Hey. So the Mishnah, because look at the Shulchan Aruch first. I want you to look at the Shulchan Aruch and read, and I want you to tell me how much could you find a kula for me? Find me a kula.
In the next line?
Yeah. In this line.
It says Yomar B'tchilas.
The what?
At the beginning you have to say it.
Right. So what do you want to say?
So he's not saying you have to say it constantly, he's just saying you say it at the beginning and then you have Lishman.
That's a good kula. There you go.
I'll stick with Mike's.
Because he says only betchila. Why did the Shulchan Aruch say you should say it betchila? He should have said sheyoymar kol hazman shehu aisatitis. So from here it says the Mishnah Berura, hey betchilas v'dai bozeh, and that's enough. Dai comes from the word dayenu.
It would have been enough.
Would have been enough if you just think in the beginning, if you just stay in the beginning. Not only that, but the Mishnah Berura says it will work afilu l'yayma achra. Even for a different day. You could even...
That's crazy.
Where you say like tomorrow I'm going to...
No. Well, no. It means you're starting today. Betchilas.
Oh, but then you stop in the middle and then you continue the next day.
Right.
Okay.
You stop. Betchilas hativo, you started to spin, and then your hands got tired, so you continue tomorrow. So what you see here is that the beginning is setting the tone, that's Lishman, and then it continues on to tomorrow. So that's very important. The Mishnah Berura now is trying to see exactly how much you have to think about. Now, by the way, this will not work for two people, right? Which means it will only work so far for one person.
Can two people do it though? Let's say another guy picks up the shift the next day. Can he pick up the remaining and say the
he could say, if he says it, he could.
They can split it.
Yeah, they can split it, but he can't pick up.
Share the.
Can't share Lishman.
Right.
They can read. They can bring their own Lishman.
Right. Right. And the reason is, says the Mishnah Berura further, and the reason why it continues to work the next day is the stama su lishmakai, that we assume that once you started doing it lishma stama, so the plain assumption is that su, anything more, is lishmakai. It's all lishma mishum. The reason is, so here the Mishnah Berura introduces an idea called kol ha'oisa al das rishaynahu oisa. Anything you do is based on the beginning, on the first hour when you started. Al das rishayna, your first mindset, it probably continues. So therefore you're setting the tone, right? Because the idea is you probably don't switch a middle, right? You probably didn't have a change of mind in the middle that now if you started making them for tzitzis and then you decide you want to make them for strings for your, for a hood in your sweatshirt, So people usually don't switch a middle. It's called kala osa al das rishona ha'osa. He's making it al das rishona on his first thought. He continues. So therefore, it works even the next day. Im loy, unless he says,
cancels it.
Right. If he says he's clearly beferish shoysa shlishma. Tomorrow, let's say he gets up and says, you know what, I don't want these to be for tzitzis. Then he canceled it, and then he
Does he
would
have to
validate.
say it for each string?
No, so it wouldn't be for each. Well,
Just like the start of the day.
Yeah. So the point, because the point is that it has to be just lishman. So as long as he's spinning, let's say he makes one string, so it's lishman. He goes now and starts again.
Second string.
The idea is it's
Is it all from the
kol
same
oisa
patch
al
of
das
wool?
rishayna oisa. He's doing it further on that.
What if he has to get a new wool?
Yeah, but it would be the same. If he's continuing the action, means he started spinning, he ran out of wool, so he got new wool. But he's continuing the same action. Kol oisa al das rishayna oisa. You're doing on the first mindset.
So what's with when they're making the matzah? Why are people cheering them on with that? Why is the matzah baker like screaming to all his workers? What's going on there? All they have to do is say at the beginning, what's with all the noise?
Yeah, but you don't want them to forget. Let's say after.
But it's just b'tchilas.
It is, but if they, you're right.
No, because the guardian is more, isn't it?
No, so you want them to be very vigilant and careful. You don't want them. You want to make sure, first of all.
So why aren't people doing that at the tzitzis factory?
No, because guardian is different than lishman, isn't it?
It's harder to guard from chametz than to do it lishman. Here, you're doing it lishman, right? You're probably not going to switch to decide that you want the strings to be for your sweatshirt to be, put in the hood. So you're not. So as long as you're doing it still with the first das, you stand it clearly. So you keep on doing it with that das. But by chametz, there's an idea of a shmarta. What does a shmarta mean? It's not just a heebie-jeebie thing. Lishman, I'm doing it for its sake. Lishman, a holy thing. Lishman means for the mitzvah. Which mitzvah? What does it mean lishma? It's different here than get. Get, it means you for that sake. But what is it? What exactly is the pasuk again?
Something about shamar.
Right, ushmartim. The lishma is to watch the matzah from chametz. That's what it means. Make it for its sake, for Pesach, to watch it from chametz. So Wesley's saying very nice. Wesley's saying that you have to keep on guarding it. It's not enough to be doing it for the ultimate purpose of matzah. It's true. They're in the matzah bakery to do it for that purpose. Hopefully they won't forget, but they also have to keep very careful, right? If you get a phone call in the middle, right? What do you do if you get a phone call in the middle while you're kneading the dough? Right?
Let it go to voice.
Don't answer the phone.
Let it go to voicemail, right? Excellent.
But once it's finished being made, then the shmartim stops.
Right. The minute it's made, then that's finished. Right.
And then you buy it for $25 a box.
Right.
We don't have to guard it that what happens if breadcrumbs fall on top of the matzah?
Well, you don't want to eat. You want to make sure you don't eat chametz.
Yeah.
Even a mashu, a little drop of chametz is the only time where we say you can't even eat a drop of chametz. That's why we cover our counters, because we want to make sure not
corrugated plastic today.
There you go. Because we don't want a drop of chametz to get in our mouth. Because chametz is not batal b'shishim. You ever heard of batal b'shishim? To be nullified.
And the meat becomes kosher.
Oh, by meat it works. By pig it works. Most things it works. By chametz it doesn't work. A drop is not batal. Not batal.
So we're saying there's a fundamental difference between lishma and guarding, or they're the same word?
No, between lishma and kavana.
Oh.
Before the first thing?
So what's the difference between how we make tzitzis and how we guard matzah?
The guardian's stronger.
That's because
The guarding.
The way to do lishman in terms of matzah is to do the shamar, is to do the guarding.
Lishma, it's the same word.
No, shamar or lishma.
Shamar means guard.
Yeah.
Lishma means for its sake.
Right.
So I guess because of the nature of the pasuk, we learn that the way to do lishma for matzah is to do the shamar. The
Don't they have to say it?
shamar is the
as well?
implementation of lishma.
Where, by here or by there?
When you guard the matzah,
You
you
have to
have to say
have
lishma. Say it
lishma.
verbally.
Yeah.
have to do-
Yeah. So
Yeah.
come down from this.
We're doing the same thing.
From this Mishnah Berura.
It's in the more
Right. It's the
intense
same.
one.
Right. It'll be the same thing there. Even though the Mishnah Berura says
Guarding
it's different
is
at
more
different
intense.
times, and it says maybe it would work maybe with machshava by tefillin, but here it says clearly. You
Because
need-
of the pasuk,
Yeah.
it says ushmartam. So we learn out lishma from the fact that it says ushmartam. Therefore, the lishma is the ushmartam. Whereas in this case, with tzitzis, it's just you just have to say it at the beginning. There's no funky stringency going on there.
Why don't we guard our...
In the pasuk, it's because the pasuk says ushmartam with matzah. Here it just says ta'aseh, you shall make.
I see. Thank you.
Ta'aseh something.
Where by here it says
Ta'aseh
lach.
Lach, lacha, whatever.
And we learn out. Good. That's a lach l'shem chayvach. You should do it for its obligation, for your obligation. That's the lishma. And by get, you have to write a get lishma for the sake of that person, that man and that lady. And that turns it into a get. There it's a simple, it's a little simpler, but that's the idea there. Okay, now, so if you say it at the time of at the beginning, then it works. Now let's see the beer halacha.
Wait. What if you have it in mind? Do you have to have it in mind for a specific beged, or just for the fact that it's going to be tzitzis?
No, yeah, as long as you have it in mind for tzitzis, it works. Yeah, there we go. Now the Bir Halacha just adds in one little point there, just to expound a little bit more on this. You see the Bir Halacha on the first side of the page, Sheyoymar, by that star.
Yeah.
So he's going on this idea that you have to say it in the beginning of your spinning.
Yeah.
So he quotes the Mishnah Berura, Hatam, the reason is Mishum de Kol Ha'isa. Once you do it in the beginning, so Kol Ha'isa v'chulu. What does v'chulu mean? Etc. Kol Ha'isa das Mishum Ha'isa. V'chol shekain. Now the Bir Halacha says it's a kol shekain. What's a kol shekain?
Even more so.
Right, and even more so. For sure, im yoymar, if you say shekol hatvia sheyitve, any spinning that I will spin, yihi elashem tzitzis. I want to say right now that I'm spinning, and any spinning I'm doing is going to be for tzitzis.
Like in the rest of your life?
No, or at least whatever, on this garment with this wool. Any spinning I'm doing is for tzitzis. V'vadai mahani. Then for sure that will help. That's not even a question.
What's the chiddush there? What's he telling us?
He's saying a period of time. He's like saying like the next batch of tzitzis that I'm doing.
Well, it seems like that would imply that if you didn't say that, then you were only assuming for the first.
No, he's saying well, all the more so.
He's saying it all the more so. Read the next four words. V'loi tzrichin su lehatam dechol ha'oisa v'chulu. If you do that, you don't have to come on to the reason of kol ha'oisa al das rishayna hu'oisa. Because what does kol ha'oisa al das rishayna hu'oisa mean?
I said for the first one was going to extend to the rest of them.
Which means kol ha'oisa, anyone who does this thing with this in mind, al das rishayna, he's doing it with what he did the first time. That's what he continues to have das on. It's an assumption. It's like a
okay, so
chazaka.
here you don't need the assumption.
Here we don't need it, because here he spoke out. Clearly, I want to do all my sewing or my spinning should be for tzitzis. So you don't need to come onto assumptions. Yeah.
Again, in comparing it to shmur matzah,
Yeah.
there's an issue with pushing the button, shmur matzah. So what's the story here?
Well, that's the question. Does pushing a button make the shema? Or maybe the truth is right now the Minchas Chinuch says maybe the mitzvah is ushmarta. What's l'shma? To guard it. The Minchas Chinuch wants to say that maybe who says the one who needs it has to do the lishma? Maybe the one who watches it has to do the shmira.
So push the button, or no? It doesn't matter. He's not the one who has the lishma.
He says forget about who's needing, who's pushing buttons. This is an idea he's suggesting why maybe you could do lishma on shmura matzah. That's his suggestion on a machine. Maybe you could have the shema on a machine. Because everyone was saying, well, your machine's doing it. The machine can't do the
Well,
shema.
someone must hold that way, right? Because there's some Minhagim that they eat machine.
Yes.
And it's
so
better.
there's a big argument. So I'm telling you.
Okay.
This
is that the other side? Or
this is one.
Is there a more popular shita that supports
why a machine works?
Yeah.
No, some say if you push the button
with kavanah.
With kavanah.
Or lishma.
Lishma. So that makes the machine, the matzah get done lishma. You inserted the lishma into the machine. Or if you hold the button down, that's even better, they say.
Program the computer to have lishma.
Yeah. But on the other hand, the Minchas Chinuch is giving a different suggestion, a novel suggestion, but like Pashup Pshat, that you could do lishma because I'm doing the shmira. The machine's baking the matzahs, but I'm doing the lishma because the lishma is on the watcher. It's a beautiful pshat.
So my question is,
but it depends on the minute. The Hasidim would never get near it for the Seder night.
Does Rabbi Goldwasser?
Not for the first night.
So you don't know?
Not for the mitzvah. For the mitzvah.
Well, that's the question. It's for everyone was saying.
Yeah. Most people end up getting for shmur matzah for that first night.
In this area, at least, I guess, right?
No,
all over. But there are some who don't.
But there are some who are they go to the other side, right?
Okay.
This Rabbi Zalman Meltzer, and he would say, no, this is even better. People, this is one of the things which
split. The computer holds lishma the whole time.
It's precise. Once you assume that you can have lishma either way, then the machine is obviously better because it's precise.
So some people
then there's the issue about the cleaning and stuff. So
So some people each side is split the Jews into two. Yes.
So my question is, can you automatically make them the tzitzis?
With a machine.
Same question.
And here you don't have the Minchas Chinuch's idea of watching, because nothing to do with watching. Here it's the one who spins it. So there is a little bit of a talk. They talk about the machines, and I have a few Marmakaimas here. Does it help? Some want to say, how does it work? If it works by electricity, or does it work through wheels? Wheels is a little bit better
Right.
because it's a little bit more
Are you pumping the wheels?
manual.
Yeah, manual.
Yeah.
They have to
Labor.
while they're pumping.
Yeah. So they went back and
Well, I'm
forth.
paying the bills for the electric company to give me power.
With Mishna.
Okay, so they go back and forth about this. So that's the idea there. Okay, so that was the Bir Halacha. Now let's go further.
Alright.
So now we're up to Max's questions. Now that we know how to do Lishma, you should say it, right? And that would explain, right, why in the Mountain Bakery they have to say it for two reasons. Number one, to have Lishma. Number two, to keep your mind on it that you shouldn't forget and become doing it by rote. So now who does it? So the Shulchan Aruch said the first thing is you should say it that I'm doing it for tzitzis, for l'shem tzitzis. Oi, says the Shulchan Aruch, sheyomer leisha, or you tell it to the lady who's doing it, tevi li tzitzis letalis. You should spin for me tzitzis for talis.
You still have to say it. That's interesting.
No. You're telling her to do it. You
You have to tell her.
Does she have
though.
to say
Does
Lishma?
she
or
say
do
it,
you?
or is you saying that to her?
No, but you're saying it to her is not making the lishma.
Okay, but that's what he's making it sound
Yeah,
like.
so we have to see exactly what he means to say. You're telling the lady, Tvili tzitzis letalis. When you say Tvili tzitzis letalis, means you're telling her, do it for the talis.
So then does she have to say it, or is it enough that you told her?
Yeah.
Now, so let's see the Mishnah Berura here. We're up to Zion. Let's skip to Zion for a minute. We actually have to do Vav for a minute, but we'll just do Zion first. You see Mishnah Berura Zion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sheyomer leisha ritzaynai loymar, which means to say, b'tchilas hatviyah levad, in the beginning of the tviyah, as you start to spin, that's when you should tell her. V'hu adin mo'isha ba'atzma oimeres shehi toivel l'shem tzitzis de mehani. So it's very interesting. What do you see from the Mishnah Berura?
If she says it herself.
You see in the Mishnah Berura that when you say to her, Tvili tzitzis l'talis, that is, you are the one who's actually making it l'shma there. Because he says, V'hu adin, and also, if she herself says, shehi toivel l'shem tzitzis, that she toivel l'shem tzitzis de mahani.
With those words?
Well, it depends how you understand those words. If she says that she is spinning it for tzitzis, it helps. So it's not so clear exactly.
So he's saying that if you say it, that's enough? And if she says it's enough?
Well, it seems that you tell her to do it l'shma. You tell her to do it for tzitzis.
And that's Yofi?
And that counts.
That's
And that seems to count. Yeah. It's interesting.
So that would imply
He
that
seems to imply that,
You
yeah,
should be able
that,
to do a machine too. Because
no, but she
I'm not
has,
comparing her to a machine,
she
but
has-
it's the same mechanics. You push a button and then it
No,
gets
but
done.
she has the
You tell her
machshava.
to do it, she does it.
no, but she's having the machshava.
But how come she doesn't have to speak out then? I could just have the machshava without saying
because she's
anything.
not obligated tzitzis. Is that
So,
why
so right, okay, the Bir
Oh,
Halacha
there's different
asks.
expectations.
Look
on
at
her
the
now.
Bir Halacha. Bir
Is it
Halacha
because
asks.
she's a woman and she's holy and she can have the lishma without saying it?
Mike, Bir Halacha asks your question. Let's see. You see the Bir Halacha, top one. Sheyomer leisha tvili.
What are we
Bir Halacha.
Next to the
You should tell the lady to spin it for me. I am the Mishnah Berura v'Masha Kosavnu. Look at the Mishnah Berura, what we wrote, which the Chavetz Chaim is writing that he himself wrote that there. Sheritzoynei loymar, which means to say betchilas hatviyah. That means in the beginning of the spinning. The kemoi degabi hu atzmoi tzarach amira betchilas hamaisa. The same way that he himself needs to speak it out in the beginning of the action that he makes the tzitzis. Kei nami ba'omer leisha. So too when you're telling a lady to make it. So it seems that he's actually saying these words.
What happens if a man is making it? Is it same thing?
It seems that she needs amira. The Mishnah, the Bir Halacha seems to say that the kemoi gabi hu atzmai tzarach amira betchilas hamaisa. Even though he says shoyer leisha. But I think that's what he means. Ritzoynei loymar, the words Ritzoynei loymar means as if to say that the lady herself should also say it.
So you both need to say it.
Yeah. You're directing her to tell her to do a lishma, but she herself would also have to say it lishma. That's what. Look at the Bir Halacha's words are. The kamai gabe hu atzmai tzaracha amira, just like he himself needs to speak it out. Betchilas hamaisa. Kei nami be'omer leisha. So too, when you tell a lady, she also would have to speak it out. Now let's go further in that Biur Halacha. V'tzarach gam kein, we also need shetei machshava leisha lishma. And you need the lady to be thinking lishma. Dim loy kein loy maha loy mai mahanim amiros acherim. If she herself, let's say you tell her and you say lishma, but she's thinking that she's doing it for yarn, it won't work. She has to think also that she's doing it lishma, or else it won't work. It won't be lishma. If she's thinking that she wants it for yarn, that won't work. So you need her also to be thinking about it. Then he continues. Yeah, so it seems maybe she might only need a thought. And then he says this, that is brought down, that you should tell her to do a lishma, the sulay tzarech, and you don't need to do any more. That the Yisrael who is mitzvah does not need tzarech yoser loy dibra loy machshava. Aval isha kol panim tzricha machshava b'tchil lishma. It seems that he seems to be going like that it's only machshava. Like that question, do you need to have is a thought good enough?
For her only.
It seems for her, it's saying that you tell her to do lishma, so she's doing it based on that. So you're like, it seems like you're giving the
it's like when you continue the next day, maybe it's that whole thing.
You're starting it off.
No, whatever that thing was.
Yeah, so you're doing the amira and she's continuing, right? She seems to be continuing your action. You're able to start it off.
Weird, I don't know why that works.
You set the tone.
But if it was a man, you said Tvili Tzitzis Lishma.
But you do it yourself, so you started with your own saying.
What happened?
Here,
same situation, except saying a man.
Yeah,
but you're telling her to do it. So
same situation. I'm telling my subordinate to do it.
If it's a
he
man,
still has to say it.
I'm not sure.
Okay,
there it could be that
we'll
the same thing.
I'll look into it.
Good.
Can a Jewish slave do it? A non-Jewish slave?
So now the question is who's kosher? So let's look at that Mishna Berura. But I'm just saying it could be that you telling a man or a lady, you're the one that's doing the saying, and now they just have to continue it with the right thought. If they do it with the wrong thought, it won't be good. You're saying.
That goes without saying.
You're saying so. Yeah, but the question is, or maybe no, maybe she just needs a thought.
They have to hold the thought, or they just have to not change the thought?
Not change.
Well,
like they have to think about the tzitzis while they're weaving, or they think about like baseball.
But they have to know in the back of their mind that they're doing it for tzitzis.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. They can't be thinking that they're weaving it to make a baseball, right? You know.
No, they can think about like baseball, like the game, but they can't think that this
right. So they should be thinking basically in the back of their mind that it's for tzitzis. Yeah. Now,
Bidi Evid.
Yeah.
If you're in some weird situation where you absolutely can't have tzitzis made with the intention of tzitzis, should you be wearing them, or are you wearing nothing?
So let's go look at the Shulchan Aruch, the last 4 words of where we're up to. Ve'im.
I do.
You right? You see we're up to in the Shulchan Aruch? Look at the last 4 words. Ve'im. Aloi hayu tevuyim lishman. So the Shulchan Aruch rules on your question if they were not spun lishman psulim. He rules that they are pasul, that they don't work. So you see there he's clearly ruling like that idea. So he says that it would not work b'di'evid if you don't have that in mind. So therefore that's his ruling on that. Now,
and then you got bracha or latala issues.
And you
got a lot of problems.
Garment with no tzitzis.
Right. They'll have a lot of problems. Now, I just wanted to tell you one interesting thing that Rabbi Akiva Eiger says about this idea that a lady is kosher, right? You want to know who's kosher to spin tzitzis. So Rabbi Akiva Eiger learns out from what we say in Kriya Shema. We say, Daber el b'nei Yisrael v'yamarta alehem v'yasu lehem tzitzis. Right? We say that.
I think we did this in Kedushin also, didn't we? I know that they derive positive time-bound commandments from these psukim.
Could be. But what's the difference between dibur and amira? Right? The word daber is to talk. Amira means, what does omer mean?
Omer, say.
Good. What's the difference between dibur and amira? So the Gemara, everyone learns out, when the Jews got the Torah, it says, ko someru lebeis Yaakov. It says this is how you should speak with amira to the Beis Yaakov.
More personal.
Beis Yaakov is to the ladies. V'sagid, and it's like diber. Diber is a stronger word, stronger. So when you talk to the men, you could speak stronger. When you speak to ladies, it should be kol somar. Tomar is to speak softly. That's what we learn out. That's between Dibur, and Dibur is harsh. We learn out, the Gemara learns out, that Yosef, when he spoke to the brothers, he may believe he didn't know them, right, when he was the ruler of Egypt.
Right.
So the brothers came back to their father, and they said, Diber ha'ish itanu kashais. The man, he spoke Dibur, he spoke harsh with us. Kasha is hard. He spoke with us harsh. So we learn out from that, Dibur is hard. And Amira is soft. So Rabbi Akiva Eiger says, what do we say in Shema? Daber el b'nei Yisrael, daber to the b'nei Yisrael, v'amarta aleihem, and also Amira, which is soft to the ladies, v'yasu lahem tzitzis. So he says from here we learn out that
But the women were also told they can make them.
V'yasu lahem tzitzis. Very good. That the ladies are kosher to make tzitzis from this idea, from this pasuk. Right? Because the ladies a lot of times used to do the sewing. Rashi brings down the weaving by the Mishkan. The ladies, there were certain ladies who were skilled in that. Therefore he wants to say, Daber el b'nei Yisrael, speak to the men. Ve'amarta aleim, and they should say the Amira to the ladies, they should speak to the ladies, ve'asul hem tzitzis, and they can make tzitzis. Therefore that's his allusion to the source for this din. What time is it? We're going to stop?
I saw the rabbi walk.
Time? Okay. So we'll continue next week on it.